Hello, my name is Betty Sledge. I am a volunteer with the Senior Advisory Council at Northwest Human and Disability Services. Today I'm interviewing Amy Ryan Corser. She is a Republican candidate for Congress, District 5. We're going to be asking Amy some questions related to seniors and people with disabilities. So welcome, Amy. Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll start off right with a simple question. I hope it's simple. How will your platform influence how you vote for seniors and people with disabilities?
Sure. So one of the important things to me when I entered the race was our seniors and our disabled, and making sure that they have a voice and that they're not only not left out, but that someone is paying attention to the intricacies of how the programs work and where the funding needs to go and how it needs to get there, not just that it needs to be approved and passed through Congress, but it needs to actually be applied and I'm a person with my past experience being solution oriented and making sure that the funds go to where they're supposed to go and that there's accountability is important to me. And of course, some of my favorite people are aged and my grandparents. And so we have a lot of room for improvement, and we can make sure that they're well taken care of. So.
Okay. Well, speaking to that, being well taken care of, the Older Americans Act provides critical programming for seniors, and it helps about 258,000 older Oregonians. As Congress considers funding for the next fiscal year 21-22, how would you protect the Older Americans Act and continue increased funding for that act and other programs that deal with the aging and people with disabilities?
Sure. I think that's a great question. The important thing is to make sure people are educated on the data and the information. And that changes all the time, right? So it's important that when we're fighting for these bills and advocating for our seniors, that we have the information correct, that we're sharing information, because it's very impactful to know how many people are affected and what are the needs, because those needs are changing and we're adapting constantly. And with society and some of the things in our community that are happening, we have to be paying attention to make sure that their needs are being met. And so I feel that that's going to be one of the number one responsibilities in Congress, is to make sure that not only do we continue the funding, but obviously we need to grow the funding, we need to increase the funding, we need to know and be creative about where that funding comes from, so we're not just constantly asking for money. We're finding solutions and creating programs, and even new programs as we move forward with adapting to the needs of our seniors, that money is not only there, but that it's actually in the account. So.
Okay, great. So during this economic downturn that we are currently in, how would you address food insecurities for people among all demographics, but especially vulnerable seniors and people with disabilities?
Sure. I think we've done some great work on reaching the disabled and the seniors that are in need. I think we could do better at communicating the services that are available. I know our local area has quite a few services in some areas, and in some areas not enough. And so it's important to talk about the need. I know as a volunteer, I deliver food constantly to a lot of different residents in different areas of HUD, the HUDs. And so I find it really important that we are keeping up with the community needs, but talking about what some people have higher needs. And I think I've seen some progress with things like food programs and utilizing food better than we have in the past, and moving from really healthy foods and making sure that everybody has access to good healthy choices is really important. And I think we're seeing things, especially with our agricultural, if you look at that platform, people are doing a better job of reusing and making sure that they have access to all the food for them to be healthy. So.
Okay. So what would your plans be to improve the health of vulnerable seniors, people with disability, people of color, who traditionally suffer from more health disparities because of pre-existing health conditions?
Sure. Well, I think having an advocate who's in their lives making sure that they're taking care of themselves. I've seen that be an issue. I work a lot with our homeless, and there's definitely a deficit of people who are not doing as good a job taking care of themselves and their needs, and they don't feel like they have the services available, or they don't want to ask for the services. So I think, again, we kind of fall into that communication and providing services for the different needs. In other words, behavioral health, mental health, versus somebody who's just struggling and not able to affordable housing or affordable foods. There's so many things that fall under one umbrella that I think it's critical to know what services are available, and then make sure that they have an advocate, that they're doing making the healthy choices and doing the doctor's appointments and following through, so that the people with pre-existing conditions can continue to be taken care of and they don't fall off the radar. It's really important to keep them involved and keep them being seen and in front of their healthcare providers. No matter, I don't see it as I know you talk about the different socioeconomic or people of color. I don't think it matters. I think everyone deserves the same quality of care. And I think especially our seniors, we need to be making sure we're taking good care of them. And I think there's some program solutions. I have some ideas that I would love to talk further about so that we can take care of them.
Okay, great. So what would you do regarding Medicare and Medicaid to keep seniors and people with disabilities in their homes with access to mental health and substance abuse services?
Right. Well, I think that's one of our number one issues personally that I've seen firsthand. It comes back to the homeless, but if we could keep people in their homes, give people resources, make sure they're being checked on, make sure there's accountability for everyone. And I say accountability in a loving way, making sure that they are getting that healthy food we talked about. So, but that gap between Medicare and Medicaid, we need to make that transition easier, smoother. It shouldn't be such a financial hardship to make that transition. And I think that's where we're losing a lot of the opportunities to make sure people continue to get the health care that they need, or to continue, because behavioral, counseling, whatever, the services that they're already maybe having, that they need to continue and not change or stop because they don't have the financial services or wherewithal to do that. And we need to keep them in their homes, number one. I love that you said that, because I think that's something really important. We have to find a way through all of these health crises and issues and the transition, for that financial transition, to make sure that they can stay in their homes and that they're protected and safe.
Okay. And lastly, what would you do on a federal level so that seniors and people with disabilities would no longer have to face a lack of accessible and affordable housing?
Absolutely. That's probably our most critical, is keeping them in their homes. That affordable housing is an issue. But going through the health crisis we're in now, it's really easy to take the easy way out and to use the status quo, and that's not good enough for our seniors. That's not good enough for the people who are struggling, who are already in the system. And we have more obviously coming and flooding the system, because we need to do a better job, not only with what we have, but to grow it and to make sure everybody has the services. So I think when you say, what can I do? When I'm in Congress, I will fight and be an advocate every day and communicate with people like yourselves, people who are in the industry, who live and breathe it and know what the needs are. That's not my background, so I don't pretend to be an expert in it, but I can surround myself with people like yourself who can talk to me about laws and new legislation coming, things that I need to have on my radar to make sure that we're paying attention, so that I'm not just a vote. I'm a person who is an advocate to make sure that everybody's educated, so that we can go and fight and fight for our seniors. And so they can't change their votes in Congress, all of us, if we don't have the right information. And so I'd like to be that catalyst as well.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Well, Amy, thank you so much for answering some of these difficult questions and spending a portion of your day, advocating for our seniors and folks with disabilities, and just giving us the gift of your time. So again, this is Amy Ryan Corser. She is running for U.S. Congress, District 5.